All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to literally demystify the coding landscape. We're mapping out a complete blueprint to help you build a job-ready tech portfolio totally from scratch. So if you've ever, stared at a screen full of code and just felt completely lost, hey, you're in exactly the right place. We are going to take you from absolute novice to confident creator. Let's dive right in. Now, this is the million-dollar question, right? What's the best language for a beginner? Look, with over 700 programming languages out there, it is completely normal to feel totally overwhelmed. It's kind of the ultimate paradox of choice. But don't worry, we're going to filter out all that noise and pinpoint the exact tool you need for your specific path. Okay, Section 1, decoding the programming world and building that foundation. So think of programming languages just like a toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, right? First things first, we absolutely need to bust this myth that coding is just memorizing a bunch of complex math formulas. It's really not. It's actually all about learning how to communicate logic effectively to a machine. See, computers only really understand binary, just ones and zeros. So a programming language is simply the bridge. It's the tool that takes your human instructions and translates them into a format the computer can actually execute to solve a problem. Right, let's move on to Section 2. Choosing your first language and picking the right tool. The cool thing here is we can actually narrow down those hundreds of options into just a few powerhouse choices. Python and JavaScript offer what we call low syntax friction. Basically, this means they read almost like standard English. So instead of fighting with, really complex brackets and strict rules, you can actually focus on learning the logic of coding. On the flip side, languages like Java or C# have way stricter rules. But to be fair, they're absolutely essential if you want to build massive enterprise software or high-performance video games. To put this into perspective, if we look at recent survey data from Stack Overflow, JavaScript and Python just absolutely dominate the industry. I mean, JavaScript is used by over 62% of developers, and Python is sitting really comfortably at 51%. And because they are so widely adopted, they have these massive communities, literally endless free resources, and vast job markets. So they are incredibly safe bets for your very first language. Which brings us to Section 3, Web Apps to Data Science, and choosing your domain. Look, learning to code in a vacuum, it's boring. But applying it to a domain you actually care about, that changes the whole shebang. If you want to build interactive websites, like, say, making a button pop up or creating a really dynamic user interface that runs right in your browser, JavaScript is for sure your definitive tool. But on the other hand, if you want to crunch giant data sets, build predictive machine learning models, or honestly just write some scripts to automate those boring daily spreadsheet tasks, Python is the undisputed king. Basically, pick the domain that excites you, and the language choice pretty much makes itself. All right, Section 4, building your coding portfolio. Show, don't just tell. Okay, here is a hard truth. Employers really don't just want to see course certificates on your resume anymore. They want to see live projects that prove you can actually build stuff. And you build that portfolio progressively. Please don't try to make the next Facebook on day one. Start with something simple, like a command line calculator. Then, maybe move up to an interactive quiz app. And eventually, you can tackle the advanced stuff, like pulling live weather data or building a sports simulator that uses real-world data to predict whether, say, Argentina or Nigeria will win a match. This is exactly how progressive projects build a really compelling portfolio for future jobs. So here is your specific learned portfolio path. Step 1, pick your language based on your domain. Step 2, build those progressive projects we just talked about. And step 3, and guys, this is absolutely critical, push your code to GitHub. Think of GitHub as like a public showcase and version control system for your code. Pushing your messy, real-world code up there is an absolute must to prove your hands-on skills and your growth to technical recruiters. And as you're building out these projects, please remember this quote. Even senior engineers Google things every single day. Beginners often get hit hard with imposter syndrome because they can't remember every single specific command. But guess what? Professional developers don't memorize every line of syntax either. They master the art of reading documentation, breaking down complex problems, and just researching solutions. Moving into our final part, Section 5, landing your tech job, boot camps, certs, and next steps. Let's look at a totally realistic timeline to get job ready. Month 1 is really all about those fundamentals, variables, and logic. By month 3, you're building intermediate projects that talk to external data APIs. And APIs are really just bridges that let your app pull data from other websites. Then, by month 6, you should be deploying a full-stack capstone project. That means you built both the visual front end and the data backend. And there you go. That is a concrete, job-ready portfolio in about half a year. And honestly, the best part? You don't necessarily need to drop $13,000 on a traditional coding boot camp to achieve all this. There are highly respected, totally free programs out there. For instance, 42 offers this incredible peer-to-peer coding environment. There's Ada Developers Academy, which provides tuition-free intensive training for women and non-binary individuals. The Odin Project is just a phenomenal open-source curriculum for full-stack JavaScript. And even Harvard's CS50 is freely available online to teach you those really deep computer science fundamentals. But listen, regardless of the resource you end up choosing, to truly succeed, you have got to escape what the industry calls tutorial hell. You cannot learn to code just by passively watching someone else type on a screen. You have to close the video player, stare at a blank text editor, and actually struggle through building a project on your own. That struggle, that is where the actual learning happens. The friction is literally the feature here, not a bug. So we've decoded the languages, mapped out the projects, and revealed the free resources. The only thing left standing between you and a brand new tech career is action. So are you going to keep endlessly researching, or are you going to open up a text editor and start building your blueprint today? The tools are right there waiting for you. Dive in.